Hey guys, and welcome. Have you ever used a screen capture app and it does more than just take a screenshot of something? Well, let's have a look at TechSmith Snagit 2021. It has a lot of features that you wouldn't expect in a standard sort of screen capture app. So let's go and have a look at it. Just before we get started, I'd like to tell my audience that I am a TechSmith reseller, and just to be clear on that, I've used TechSmith products for many years in my job as a consultant. I also produce financial reports and processes and documentation in the software applications that I use and that I sell to my customers. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here we are on a web page. This is a sample file of one of the accounting packages that I use, and it is a landing page. So if you look at this, it has some graphs on there already, and it also has some figures in here as well. And down below we have a graph over a period of time. So we're looking at this financial year. And I think because this is a sample file, it probably doesn't have anything for last year, but it would be nice to actually compare this. But yeah, it's got nothing in there. So, but that's not going to stop us. The purpose of this video is to actually illustrate how we can use this sort of information and how we can capture that and put it into a document. So, if you've installed Snagit 2021. You should have a little blue line at the top there, and as you hover over it, you'll see a red button that will start your capture. It also has a few other functions there that you can do. You can actually have a scrolling capture, which means that if you start at the top and you only have part of it visible, if you scroll it, it'll actually just capture everything as you move your mouse down the page. So, but we'll get into that detail a bit later or in another video. So let's just take a screenshot of let's say this bottom graph here. So if we go and click that, and you'll see the crosshairs there. Now, if I just click anywhere, it'll capture the whole page. But if you want to select a particular section of the page, then what you do is, and I'm going to do this so it doesn't have the gray area there. So I'm going to put it inside the white. And as you notice there, with the magnifying glass, it actually tells you where your starting point is. And as you move across and move down, and again you'll see there that I'm still within the white edge. So once I let the button go, it jumps to a menu, and you've got a few options here. You can change the dimensions, which is not what you want. You want to keep it as it is, and you can also scroll it. So if I were to scroll further down, as I mentioned earlier, I could click this button, and it would then allow me to use my mouse to scroll further, and it would take the entire capture all the way down. But that's not what we're going to do now. We're going to just hit the capture the image button, and it opens up your Snagit editor. Now you'll notice that as it stands, it looks quite neat, and there's probably not much you need to do to it, but there are some functions up on the top here. So you can add arrows, for example. I could click the arrow here and say, okay, well, let's have a look at this area here. So Okay, so that needs some attention. So, and if you want it to stand out, then obviously you'd make it a brighter color. So if I click on that and change the color to, say, red or orange, that's what it is. You can also take the you can take the shadow off if you want to, and you can make it wider as well. So you can go like that, but really you want it to be just right, so that you know that this is an area of highlight. You can then also add some annotation. So if you say, okay, well, why? For example, I'm just and let's change the font to Tahoma. Sorry, change the font to Tahoma, and let's make it 24. That's fine. Okay, so you could actually drag this over here as an annotation. So you've grabbed the capture of, you've grabbed the image and you've annotated it. You've added an arrow. You can even use things like call outs. So if I were to add a call out, if I can find it, and it is not quite there. Where is it? It should be, there it is. So you could also use a call out and use that instead. So you can actually do that, and you could make it make that color, say, something lighter. Move that over here. Let me just do that. Let me just change that for a moment. Let me try that again. So let's make it, that's better. Okay, so you could also put comments in here if you want to put the call out a bit further away from where the center of attention is. Okay, and you'll see that you can customize that as well. You can actually drag that arrow to where you want to go, and you can get rid of that one, and you can also get rid of the other arrow, for example, if you change your mind about how you want to present it. And you can move this over and just adjust it, and away you go. The text in here can be bold. It can be much larger. You can make it, say, let's make it 28. There we go. And if you really like to spice it up a bit, you can also add a border, for example. And if I click that and hit apply, it'll stay. Now, if I look at the border, for example, I can actually make that much smaller. Right. Okay. Let me just undo that, because obviously that didn't quite work. I should have done that on the first one. So the width at the moment is 0, but I can actually play around with the width there and even just put a number in there. So if I said 5 is enough of a border. It really depends on how you want to apply this image in your documentation. So if this is a financial report, for example, you could make that much thinner if you wanted to. And really, if you wanted a shadow, you can also do that, and it makes a shadow. So what that does is it produces an image that's ready for publication into any other document. So you could really just go file and save it as something, as an image, or you could just simply copy and paste it into a document. So if you open up a Word document, you could just copy and paste it straight into there. So if you had a standard sort of financial report that you do every month, and you just delete the old detail and basically replace it with the new one. So this is what I use Snagit for. It has a lot more features which I'll mention in another video. just briefly, I can just say, if you wanted to hide some of these figures, for example, because some of the information was sensitive, you could actually use the blur tool and just go over the top of that, and away you go. So it's very flexible. It's got a lot of options. You can also put steps in there. If you had a procedure, for example, you could put steps in there, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Okay, so that was an overview of TextMesh 2021, and I've only covered a small portion of it. Watch my next video and we'll talk about the templates that you can use in TextMesh Snagit to produce pre-formatted images or branding that you want to use in your documentation.